Hello everyone, and welcome to my short introduction into Chinese radar remote sensing satellites. Now, to begin with, I'm going to introduce into mid-resolution SAR systems from China, and then we're going to talk about data processing using the irrational polynomial coefficients, and then I give some examples of also available commercial high-resolution satellite systems. So, first of all, let's talk about Gaofen 3, which is maybe the most well-known satellite, SAR satellite from China, because it's also rather old now. It launched on 2016. It is a C-band system, C-band that's about 5 centimeters of wavelengths. It has a resolution of 3 meters, but can reach 1 meter in spotlight mode. Now, the system is relatively old now, and we expect end of life of Gaofen 3 in about 2026. So the time of that satellite is coming to an end. Now, another very interesting system is Wuhan 1, which is a bistatic and monostatic system. So a system that can fly bistatic, has a phase of bistatic configuration and of monostatic configuration. It launched in 2022. It's an L-band system, L-band that's longer wavelengths of about 20 centimeters. It has a resolution of 3 meters and is specialized on DEM generation and DINSAR. So the bistatic mode is for DEM generation, and the later monostatic phase is for DINSAR configuration. DINSAR we use for detecting motions. This is a Wuhan 1 image of Wuhan from 2024, which shows you a bit the level of quality and details that we can reach with this type of data. Okay, now let us come to a bit of theory, and that is on georeferencing. How are we georeferencing in SAR system? And the standard mode is what we call range Doppler mode, where we go from world coordinates, so latitude, longitude, elevation, and then we are looking for the closest point of the orbit of the sensor. So if we have a SAR sensor, SAR satellite system, we're looking at the orbit of the satellite, and we're looking where is that point closest to that orbit, and we say, well, at this position that's closest to our area on ground, that's when that target was imaged, right? And from that we can then determine the position of the satellite, and we can use that to determine the coordinates on the azimuth axis and also on the range axis, because now we also know the range of that. However, range Doppler processing is an iterative process, which means we have to find this close position iteratively, because the orbit is not a line, right? It's a curve which forces us to do some iterative processing, which makes this process precise but slow. In remote sensing more in general, we often use the APSCO, the irrational polynomial coefficients, to derive image coordinates x and y here from latitude, longitude, and elevation. Now, if we're having the coefficients, this, after we calculated the APCs, right, determining a pair of xy coordinates is not an iterative process. It's just calculating the solution to this equation, which a computer can do very, very fast. So after we having the APCs, calculating position is very, very fast and efficient in that sense, and much faster than with the range Doppler. Now, in SAR, it is not very common to use them. Right? One reason is that SAR georeferencing is more of a linear process, so we don't really need RPCs to solve that. However, RPCs are faster, and we can get to quite high precision with RPCs, but is it enough? And what does high precision mean? Now, like how to say, calculating the rational polynomial coefficients is numerically not so easy to actually do. So this can be challenging, and if we're doing that incorrectly, we may get not so precise positioning, and we can reach hundreds of thousands of a pixel is okay, which should be high enough for most application, but I still put, as you can see, a question mark here. Now, why I talk about that is because all Chinese SAR satellites, to my knowledge, support RPC processing. And this is an advantage of the processing, because we can use then RPC processing, which is not only faster but also more common and more involved in other workflows. So for many users it's easier to use. And also I have to say one difference is that I would say from my personal experience that for many Chinese satellites the RPC processing is the recommended way of doing that, because it seems to be better supported and including also some other kinds of correction depending on the satellite. So in generally for processing SAR from Chinese satellites, I recommend using RPCs to do so. Now let's talk about some of the commercial high-resolution satellites. They are quite a few available, and I'm just giving two examples here, which are by no means representative in any way. Anyway, let me just jump in with Siwei Superfew Neo 2 satellites, which also has bistatic and monostatic configuration. It's quite new, launched in 2024, and is currently in the bistatic phase. It's an X-band system with a strip map resolution of 2 meters and reaching half a meter in spotlight mode. Now, bistatic, as I explained before, bistatic is very good for DM generation, and that's what it's currently specialized in, what's currently operational. And then monostatic configuration with higher repeat pass cycles is better for DIN-SAR. There are some examples from Egypt and Thailand of the satellite, and you can see the high resolution that you can achieve with that system. Now let me show another system of interest. Is PESAT, or also known Honghu, which is quite interesting because it's a multi-static configuration. So we're having a master here and 3 slave satellites going in this cartwheel formation, giving you a multi-static configuration, which in contrast to the bistatic configurations we talked before, gives you more baselines for each acquisition. So this is a very, very interesting and kind of unique constellation. It's launched in 2023. It's also an X-band system with resolutions from 0.5 in spotlight mode up to 5 meters, and it's very, very interesting, especially for DM generation in complex terrain due to the multi-static configuration that we can achieve here. Yep, so let me come to data accessibility, which is an issue, right? So to be very clear, the data is in principle accessible for foreign research institution, but the access may be a little bit complicated because there are several rules and regulations, and you have to deal with different entities. That's to mean different satellites are operated or in control from different organizations and institutions. So that means for each of the data you may have to deal with different organizations, which can complicate things, right? So it is certainly, how to say it, a bit complicated to get to the data, but it's absolutely possible. You also may need to check if there's a bilateral access agreement with your local agencies or your government. They often exist between different agencies. You have to check locally, and if so, it might be easier to access the data via this bilateral agreement from your local agency. This is also a viable way. Now, commercial data, that's a bit easier because they are open for business, right? So you are absolutely able to get this data, and we are seeing scientific constellation with easy access, they are coming, they are about to be launched, and that is a good way of getting the data easier. And we in the terms of Wuhan University, as well as we in the terms of scientists, are very looking very much forward to these upcoming more scientific constellations. That's it for now. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you got some information that's valuable for you. You can also contact me from this email address, and I hope you learned something new.